How to prepare your child for the world. You're welcome to our Tuesday Life, and my name is Wendy Ologia, and I'm the founder of the Intentional Parent Academy. We're live on our Tuesday Life. If you can see me, you can hear me. Let me see your comment in the comment section where we're going to be teaching what do you need for your child to survive for this world. I posted something earlier today, and I said one of the things that I have seen with our parenting is that we are now raising people we want to control. All right. And so it is very important that we begin to look at different things. The way most of us, what we're doing today is panic parenting. We're panicking. My child cannot, go out there. My child cannot, so we're panicking. What parents are constantly doing is that we're constantly hovering over the children that we're raising. So we're not teaching them how to thrive independently. We want them to depend on us to be able to, which is a very, big problem. Now, we end up raising children who are babying in their 30s, in their 40s. I have seen, parents with 30-year-old, 40-year-old struggling. And I keep wondering what exactly is happening. Is because we're not originally teaching our children how to be independent, learn independently, do things independently. And it's the same reason, because we want to over our children, we want to control everything. It's the same reason we are, pumping our children with a lot of lesson teachers instead of teaching them how to actually learn. Instead of teaching them how to actually learn on their own, right? A lot of times, when a lot of friends say, "Oh, the times are evil," I agree with you. The times are evil, and they say, "Oh, we need to hover on over our children because the times are not the same." As much as I agree with you, but the question is, how long will you prepare the road for them? Of preparing them for the road. How many roads do you have control over? That's the question. Have you thought of how you can teach them safety education instead of hovering over them? So today, we're going to be sharing with you what are the things that your children will need for the world, especially that is changing today. What are the things, how do you want your children, right, to thrive? How would your children thrive as we are, right now in the system of the world? Now, what in the world will change? I was sharing the other day in a back to school series, all right? And I said, to thrive in this world today, school or academic competence alone will fail your child. Let me say that again. To thrive in this world today, school and academic competence will fail your child. So if you're relying on, oh, it is what it is that they teach us in school, and that's how my child is going to survive, I dare say that you're going to raise a child who cannot survive the world that we're in today. And that's why we're running the back to school masterclass. So the back to school masterclass is not just about, oh, the school, you want to blame the school for everything. It's about you positioning yourself to actually make use of the academic year to help your child to become not just what it is that they are teaching your child in the school. What they teach in school is beautiful, is brilliant. Somebody said I was talking down on the teachers. I was saying that they're not doing anything, they are not teaching. As funny as that sounds, because I'm a product of a teacher. My dad is a teacher. My father-in-law is also a teacher. So teaching is a noble profession. I'm a teacher as well. That's what I'm doing here. I'm teaching. All right. But what we're saying is that academics alone, all right, will not be enough for your child to thrive in the world that we are in, because the world has already changed. Now, in the world we are in, purpose, meaning, sincerity is actually not going to become priority in what? Because tech as a tool in creating anything meaningful, whether good or bad. So purpose can be bad and it will be okay. So we are entering a world where a lot of things that we know will be tried. And that's why it's already difficult to align. When you talk about intentional parenting, people are fighting you. What do you mean? I just need to pray and my children will be all right. And then we quote the famous scripture, my children shall be taught of the Lord. And whoever interpreted that scripture to mean that your child will be taught by God is who I don't understand. He said, of the Lord. Who will teach them of the Lord? Isn't it you? I wonder how we actually interpret these things. So it is important that we begin to understand that some of the things that we know and the way we know it has changed. And if you do not learn, the reason the dinosaurs went extinct is simply because the dinosaurs couldn't adapt to change. Now, another thing that's going to happen is that at the core of tech, community, all right, community is going to be eroded. Now, interestingly, your child needs community to thrive because we don't do life alone. We do life in communities. So if you're going to be able to raise a child who will become, all right, a champion on the world today, it simply means that you need to go back to the things that are going to change, that will help your child, and how you can deliberately begin to realign your parenting to help your child. Sunday, my child is going to school, my child is there. Believe you me, I am all for. I shared a post right now on my timeline. Our son was best in the whole stream, best behaved. You see all of those things, as good as they are, they don't thrill me in that way. Because I understand that there is more work to be done than a child just going to school and being tops of the class. So when I say, people say, oh, it's because your children don't do well, that's why you don't brag about it. Forget it, I do. I shared it so that you also understand that no, we're not behind in that place. But I'm saying that that's not the only thing that is required. If you make academics the only thing, then your child is going to be living in a world they don't understand and they cannot thrive in. This is so important, all right, for you to understand. The level of focus, another thing that's going to change or have changed, is the level of focus. Focus has become so low. Attention is now the new oil. It has become gold. Distraction management have become a thing. It's become a big industry. Your children are now struggling with focus. Now, for you to succeed, you need focus. But because of the changed world, focus is eroded. The question is for you to actually begin to help your child thrive in the changing world, you would need to know what are the things that are eroded. Do you know, as brilliant as my children are in school, they are always the first three in their school, right? And if they don't learn the act of focus, the act of community, and some of the skills that I'm going to share with you, they will still fail. It's not a prophecy. It's not this. I know, I have studied this over the years. I know it like I know my name, that my children being tops of the class is not what will make them successful. That's not what will make them successful. All right. And then the next one is, we are now in what we call super perilous times. Perpetual perilous times. So it's not going to change. It's not going to become better. All right. It's not going to, things are not, these children, the world that changed. When we were in our time, our parents complained that the world has gone haywire. When we're singing songs those days, you hear freak out, freaky, freaky, and all those freak out, freaky, freaky. My parents thought that was vile words. Come now, and come and hear bomb bomb, whatever, breath, all said in clear words. Nobody sang again now. My father heard one of those songs literally, and he was like, what did I just hear? As if he was like he was in hell already. It's gonna get worse. So think about it. 30 years from now, what will become of your child in the world they will live in? They're going to live in the world where a woman and a woman being married, it's not going to be a big deal. Wake up. Wake up. It's not going to be a big deal anymore. So this, hey, God forbid, it's not my portion. It will not come near me. I'm going to focus. My children will pass exam, be the best in their class. You will fail. You will fail. It's not a prophecy. I know it. So raising a child who you're equipping for the changing world, preparing your child for the world that we live in, would require that you, the parent, even understand what has changed. So when people tell me, all these parenting thing, did my parents learn how to parent? Did anybody teach them? That's all where we are today. And who told you that you want to do the same thing that was there? It will shock you. Because the world we are in today, we were not even prepared for it. Half of it, we were not to actually be here. So you need to understand, what does it take to help my child thrive? What does it take to help my child thrive? In the next 30 years, that 1 year old that I have, what kind of world will they live in? Check it. Ask yourself what it has changed. Stop living in denial. Stop living in denial. The world has changed. And it's not going back to the norm. It's not going back to what you used to know. What will come has come. It's not going to come. According to Olakunle, what will come will come. And I say what has come has come. So whether you jump up and down, whether you pray to avert it, like we always say, I'm going to pray. No, it will not happen. The world has changed. And until we come into terms with the fact that we're now living in a different world, then we can't help our children. We can't help our children. Now, the question is, how do we prepare our children for the world? So instead of sitting down and saying, this world, though, hey, I don't even know what this world has turned into. That's what we're doing. I don't even know, we're commentators. I don't even know what this has turned into. These children of these days, this kind of generation, that is not what will solve the problem. It doesn't matter how much we complain until we stand up and recognize that how we are parenting, how we are doing things would have to change. You agree with me that so many years ago in our parents' time, I can't speak here and you hear me. No, we didn't have such, systems, but we have it now. So you can hear me from Canada, from everywhere, from wherever. I had uncles who lived abroad when I was growing up. Talking to them was through a landline, once in a blue moon. Now you can actually talk to someone who lives abroad literally every day and communicate. Communication has been bridged. And yet you want to do something that your parents did how they did it. And moreover, every generation is an improvement of the previous one. Why do you want to do the same thing? How do you want to do the same thing without improving on what it is that you saw? Now, what are the things that you must do? What are the things that you must? And most of the things I'm going to be sharing with you in this session is an abridged version of what we're going to be sharing with you at the Back to School Masterclass. So Back to School Masterclass is not just about academics. It's going to be encompassing, all encompassing. And this is so key. So number one, you need social skills, what we call communal and relationship, right? Communal skills and relationship. The more close relationship with those that matter you have, the more impact you will make transgenerationally. So if you don't teach your children how to deal with this, they will struggle because physical connection will become more expensive. So in their time, right now, we're now beginning to have a lot of children come to us as, their parents coming to us. And one of the major things that have circled over the past 2 years is children who are not able to stand inside social circles. Panic attacks. Children are now having panic attacks in social circles. Do you know what has happened? So because of the world we are in, the change has happened. Social connection is no longer free of charge. It is now very expensive. And it's going to become even more expensive. And our children are going to now be in the world where it is, if you're not intentional about building circles, you stay alone. Life, you don't do life alone. You don't do life alone. You do life in communities. Now, your understanding of how to build communities has changed. And if you do not understand how to build communities for your children, you won't be able to teach them how to build communities. So you're going to assume that our parents didn't need to do anything intentional to build communities, build social skills with us. No, they didn't. I don't know about you, because when I come back from school every day, at a certain time, I think around 5, every child on my street converse on a particular field, and we play between 5 to 7. That was our recreation. That was our television. But today, it's no longer that way. When your child comes home, you don't even know who your neighbors are. You don't even know who lives beside you. So if you're not intentional about building social skills, you will end up raising children who cannot thrive, because those who matter in impact are those who can connect and build close relationships with others. And funny enough, the more you connect, the more impact you can make transgenerationally. It's not just about you. So if your child only understand that it's them. So we're teaching our children impact in this life. So in our generation, a lot of us are teaching our children impact. But what is interesting, all right? What is interesting is that the impact we are teaching is impact myself, my own self-love, self. Once it is myself, once I like it, it's okay. Once you can, so I come online, I just say it can be transgenerational. It can't be trans. You need to deliberately, deliberately teach your children the act of creating impact in the real sense of it. So I usually say to parents in the inner circle that the bedroom is too small to raise a world changer. Your bedroom. That your bedroom, your children sitting. That your room. Your room is a tiny dot in the world. It's only less than a tiny dot. All right? It's even less than a tiny dot. So you keep your children inside. Now you give your children gadgets. They go online. They become popular online. No impact. That's not how to live through impact. It's an illusion. And if we do not wake up to teach our children, we're going to still think, oh, my child is 10 and my child is, doing a lot. I've seen that, and I've seen children who will fail even doing things that they are doing online. Yes, because we're failing to actually build the real ingredients of people who thrive in the world. Now, the people who will still change their world will still be people who are able to build these skills. That's it. Because again, your bedroom is too small to build a world changer. You must teach your children to expand. And that's why creating a social roadmap for your Gen Zer is a core script in the inner circle. So we script children who would have a social roadmap, irrespective of the fact that we live in a world that social skills has almost eroded. But we're intentional. That's a difference. That's a difference. We create a goal, we're intentional about it. Number 2, spiritual skills. Every child who is going to thrive in the world that is coming must have skills in spirituality. We're raising children who think that spirituality doesn't matter. And that's what the world has created. It's not the fault of the children. It is the fault, it's what their environment gives them. So even when you are a Christian, even when you are a true Muslim or a Buddhist, whichever one, and you just say, oh, my children can see me. No, they can't. The word is actually in their faces, pushing these things in their faces more than you can ever imagine. So if you do not step back to begin to build spiritual skills intentionally, your child will have a problem thriving. If you can't see beyond where you are, anybody who do not have the capacity to connect to a supreme being would actually fail. So sometimes you actually would think that you are succeeding. You just see yourself, but you would know that there's something not there. So your children need to learn the ability to discern. When I say spiritual skills, I didn't say religious skills. Please note the difference. I did not say raise children who will go to church 10 times in a week. No. I did not say children that you've not read the Bible. You've not. They are different. It's a whole new different arena. Children who understand their work with a supreme is a personal thing. We need to get to that point where we are actually equipping our children. For those of you who are, Bible scholars, I am. When you look at people like Josiah, who was able to rule a nation at age 8, then you begin to question what it is that you're doing. You begin to ask yourself, I have an 8-year-old. Can they rule a nation? We're very quick to say, my children are godly. I'm raising godly children. You are raising godly because you go to church 10 times, because your children, you wake them up and, you do all of those religious things. Please don't get me wrong. Religion is good. All right. I am a believer of religion as well, because I believe that indoctrination has a thing when it comes to the process of your life. But if your child do not understand spiritual skills, your religion is blabberdash. All right? It won't make sense. Now, note this. In the world where we live in, we are having more children question the God that you're serving. No, the reason is not because they want to question. No. The reason is because the Gen Zers look for tangibility more than fairy tales. We believed in a lot of fairy tales. So they told us the God that we can experience. So we were okay with the God we couldn't experience. We were okay with the God we couldn't, connect to. We were okay with it. So we could follow. The Gen Zers are questioning these things. So if they don't understand the God they need to connect, if they don't understand that they want to see the tangibility of your faith, they can't follow your faith. Your faith will need to be so tangible enough that they can connect to it. Now, the question will be, are you really raising children who are building spiritual skills? And, I say this often, very often, when I teach in churches. The ability to hear from God is a relevant 21st century spiritual skill that your child will require to be able to actually get them to equip the word. You can hear God all you want yourself. And if your child is not equipped, you can't hear from him. You can't. And that's why I wrote in my book, Raising the Independent Thinking Child. I like the analogy that I used, right, on the parable of the 10 virgins. When it was time for them to go and when the foolish virgins didn't have extra oil, the foolish virgin asked the wise virgin, please, can I have some? They said, no, you need to go and buy. Your child will need to buy for themselves. You can't even transfer it. That's the sad thing. All right? Somebody is asking the meaning of Gen Z. Gen Z and Generation Alpha are the children that we gave birth to. Your Gen Z should be about 25. Your Generation Alpha should be about 13. And then we'll have the Generation Beta, which are the children that we're having today, who are, just being born and toddlers and all of that. It has a way. We are millennials. The people born in the 90s and born in the 80s, sorry, are millennials. So we have the millennials, we have the Gen Zers. So the Gen Zers are more of the parents of the Generation Alpha and the parents of the Generation Z. So just like the Gen Zers are not interested in possessions, they want access. So if you do not understand the Gen Zers you're raising, you're going to, want to just do access. No, they're not looking for possessions. They're looking for access. That's why in no time, things like possessions, having a DSTV decoder, it doesn't thrill the generation we're raising. That's why they want an access. I can put on my Netflix and access it anywhere I want. That's the difference. Our generation was raised with possessions. Two different things. All right, let's move. The next one is focus. If you're going to raise a child who will be able to thrive in the world that they are in, you need to build children who focus. How do you prepare your child for the world? You need to build children who focus. A lot of our children are lacking focus because in the world where we are in today, attention is gold. And all of the things that fight for attention actually kill the child. Now, we are having quite a number of children who have impaired attention process. The reason is simple. The world has changed in such a way that attention has become gold, and the things that build attention, we're no longer intentional about it. It's about the people who can grab attention the most. So, for instance, television is they can grab your attention. So everybody's working on grabbing attention. And the flip side is that screens don't build focus. But yet our children are on screen. During the holiday, especially now, 24 hours of the day. So Screen focus is going down by the day. That's why you're seeing children who are more hyperactive than ever. That's why you're seeing children who are autistic, screen induced. Not that they were born autistic, not that they had any developmental issue. They just had an induced process, all right, that have altered what the brain wants to do. So focus is being altered. And if you do not intentionally build focus, you raise a child who cannot, build, who cannot focus. And then that becomes a problem in itself. So any child who can't focus to actually be able to build the required attention, that child will fail in the future because you need a lot of focus to be an impact maker. You need a lot of focus to believe in the word that is coming. You need a lot of focus because the aim, the whole thing that is happening in the world is that attention is the new gold. Oh, so sorry about that. I went off network. I don't know why. I apologize. All right. Please, thank you for your patience. Okay, so I was talking about net focus, and I said the skills you need to build in your child to be able to prepare them for the world that is coming. Focus. Part of what we're going to be doing at the Back to School Masterclass is to teach how your children can learn focus. Now, it's one thing for your child to go to school, all right? It's another thing for your child to learn what they need to actually get equipped. So, the school period of your child, especially primary school and secondary school period of your child, it's about the most important part of your child's life. So if you look at those times, they say, yeah, the children are going to school, that's, I don't have easy teachers that need to do all the things that they need to do and all of that, you will fail your child. At the last year's back to school masterclass, we shared how becomes at the central to be able to teach your child. Some of these things that we're talking about, not some, all of these things that we're talking about are taught in the home, not at school. So if your child is going to learn, right, then you will need to brace up to the occasion to become that teacher at home. Can you hear me? Can you see me? All right. I know that we went off a bit. If you can see me and you can hear me, let me me? Can you see me? If you can see me, let me know. I'm frozen again, but please, can you see me now? Please confirm that you can see me and that you can hear me. I don't know why my network is off and on today. So sorry about that. So sorry about that. Please confirm that you can see me. All right, please, let's go on. So sorry. Please be patient because I have like three networks here and I wonder why that is happening today. So sorry. So we're talking about focus. So when we talk about focus, focus is so key, right? On building the child. So the world we live in takes away focus. So if you're not intentional about it, it becomes a huge challenge. It becomes a very big challenge. So people tell me, my children, when I talk about focus, academics, and all of that, people say, oh, my children are doing well. They watch TV, yet it teaches them a lot. They are tops of their class. What are you talking about? For many parents, everything rises and falls on being tops of the class. And when I hear such things, I'm always very, it's always very funny to me. All right. Because, they say it like some of us don't understand what it means having children who are tops of the class. If that is your focus, if that is your only focus, all right, it's going to be a, it's going to actually impact on your children negatively. So this is very important for us to note. The next one is critical thinking. Now, is that part of what I have observed is that we're raising children who can't think for themselves. Mm. And because the environment also, the world we live in today, also makes critical thinking less, it makes it very difficult. Your child can sit down on their chair and order anything. So if your child is having trouble, for instance, right? If your child is having trouble, for instance, or somebody said, my daughter is top of her class, but she likes last focus. That's what I'm talking about. So it's not just about being tops of a class, it is about understanding what it means to actually create focus so that your children will understand how to be focused, how to actually create these systems that we're talking about. Now, so critical thinking. So we live in a fast world. Your child wants to make, you're cooking, you're teaching your children how to cook food. What you teach them is you teach them how to you teach them how to you teach them how to you how really fast. You teach them how, do and just get away. So your child, the environment doesn't even allow you intentionally. So something finishes at home. So instead of the child to think, what else can I do? The child just orders because the child has your card and it's not a problem. And then for the comfortable parents, you guys are the real problem. Because your children also understand that, oh, but my parents are comfortable. So I don't need to, I don't need to think about. Okay, this network is trying to try us, but we must finish it, right? All right. So, okay. So, critical thinking, another aspect of critical thinking is we now do everything for our children. All right. We do everything for our children. We don't want them to do anything for themselves. We don't engage them anymore. You have a 7-year-old. You do homework for your 7-year-old. I still can't phantom it. Even for your 5-year-old, you do the homework. Parents tell me exam is coming, it's exam period. I'm helping my children read. I'm like, are we kidding? Oh, parents tell me, oh no, I need to go and bring out all the children. We are packing to travel. I've not packed for myself. I've not packed for my children. 7 year olds, 8 year olds, 9 year olds, sometimes 13 year olds. Are we joking? And then we're constantly having this. And we think that our children will be able to survive in the war that is coming in their time. No, they won't. Because we're killing even the ability to think of very tiny things. Someone said, what if you allow your 5 year old to go, 7 year old to pick the clothes and the clothes is not good? You will not be working with the child. The child is not now dressed. Your job is to teach your child how to, not choose it for the child. And that's what we're doing. So instead of teaching our children how to, we are doing the things for them. So we need to begin to refocus. Why are we not teaching our children how to? Why are we looking at the road to deal with this? Sorry about that, please. And, this is really important, that we raise children who understand how to think critically. All right. So, and it starts from day one. And, when I was writing the book, Raising Independent Thinking Child, that was one of my very core focus. So it's the same thing we do in academics. We're not helping our children. I shared a class why you do not need a lesson teacher for your child. People came for me as usual. I'm used to it. Anytime there is a narrative that counters the norm in our system, we fight it. So the norm is a child is struggling, you bombard the child with a lot of lesson teachers. That you can't teach a child who is struggling to learn with more learning. I don't know how we've been able to think that out. More learning. That's how the child who is struggling to learn will learn. Like how? And, a lot of people said, what are you saying? That children are different. I agree with you. Children learn in different places. I agree with you. But it's because we also haven't understood that before you begin to help a child who is struggling in academics, you need to understand why they are struggling itself. Many of us, our children are struggling. It could just be self-esteem issue. All right? Self-esteem issue. And that's all you need. Not bombarding your child with an overwhelming series of, too many lessons. Or, getting people extra lessons. Maybe the child is not learning how he's even being taught. Maybe all the child needs to change how they are being taught. All right? It's the child is now continually cramming. The other day I was explaining that I say scaffolding. When it comes to teaching your children, helping your children as a child that is struggling, it's scaffolding. And when you do not scaffold and remove, you build a wall and you make your child dependent for life. I don't even know how we think about it. Somebody now said, I don't know, lesson teachers help me. Did it? Think about it critically. We have raised people who can think. We have raised people who can innovate. We have raised, and we still can't say it. Lesson teachers help me. We have positions in my organization today, and we can't hire anybody because there is nobody who has the required skill in these days to actually be able to fill in those positions. That's it. Mrs. Notch said we have Japa parents with Zoom lesson teachers in Nigeria. That's it. Because we haven't gotten to the place where we understand what is actually needed. So your child should be taught study habits, for instance. Some children that you're loading up with lesson teachers have zero discipline in study habits. Zero. Your home is not created in such a way that your child will actually study. We're not even teaching our children to study. We're just teaching them to read and pass. That's why most of us who are also products of lesson teachers, how many times have you ever sat down to study? I'm not talking about reading. Study. Sit down with your book. Study. Create something out of it. Create something out of it. So we are still in the circle. And instead of us to, to sit down and understand that this is not the way to go. Why they're arguing? It's a lie. My children were best in class. We brought lesson teacher. Oh shit. And then yet we have the kind of system that we have till today. So you can't use less. It's not more learning that a child who is struggling needs. It's for you to find out why the child is struggling. All the things that we crammed in school. And we came out. Some of us have not carried one book after we left school. I'm not lying. Some of you listening to me have not read one book, one single book. And some of you came out of your class. Some even were first class students. No skill. How do you want to survive in the world like this? No, you can't. And that's what we're breeding again. So at the back to school masterclass, we're teaching parents. Okay, see, these are the things that you need to teach. You know the interesting thing? If you teach your children, right? If you actually teach your children how to, learn, they will effortlessly top that class. Effortless. You don't need the struggle. You don't need the effortlessly while being the critical thinker they should be. But the flip side is that if you are focused on, see, academics is a fruit, it's not the process. It's the fruit of intentional parenting. I keep saying this thing. Your child doing well in school is not the goal. It's not the goal, really. The goal is actually to raise child who is skilled. A skilled child will naturally, effortlessly get there. So we are looking at the symptoms. A child is struggling to learn. You're looking at the symptoms of why the child is struggling to learn. You're looking at how you're going to help your child, all right, to just pass and just be tops of the class. Have you asked yourself, after this child comes out, becomes tops of the class, how will this child build a habit that's going to help them? So learning is actually about building habits. It's not about it's not about putting all of these things in our head. And that's true. Once we jump out to any nation, we need to go and do more things. We need to go and do a lot of. We can't study. We can't study. And these are some of the things that at the back to school masterclass we're going to be showing you. All right, what you can do with your children to become lifelong learners. I'm not talking about people who are passing exams. It's easy. Passing an exam, dear parents, passing an exam is easy. That's why I don't rave over it. For the past how many years that my children have been going to school, they've been tops of the class. It's not a big deal as far as I'm concerned. It's the result anybody will get if they do these things. Anybody will get it. So I don't see it as anything extra. I shared on my timeline how when I started talking about discipline. So I'm writing a book called Discipline. Discipline is not an emergency. And I was writing the concluding part of it, and I remember I was sharing a story when 6 years ago, the first time I said you do not need to hit a child to raise a child that is well behaved, whatever what that means to us. I'm not talking about a zombie, because our definition of well behaved child is just a child who is a zombie. No, that's not what I'm talking about. A well behaved child. The first time I wrote it, I was under attack. In fact, somebody actually shared and said, let me see how your children will be in the next 10 years. You will start, by the time these children are 10 years, my children were 7 then, you will start praying over them. You will start struggling because you don't want to beat them. You are here claiming all sorts of what you put in. Your children are going to be useless. My mother, I'm sure she's here listening to me, raised us. My mother didn't need to hit anybody. Now, do you know the interesting thing? Last session, my son was the best behaved child in the whole school. Like the whole school, from JSS1 to JSS3, from S to SS3, the whole school. So that's not how to teach children discipline. I've said this countless times. Now, 6 years down the line, parents are, getting to understand it and saying, oh, so what it is that we're learning, what can we learn, and all of that. I have started to say, you do not need these extra lesson teachers for your children to learn. People are attacking me now, but we're going to get there, right? where we are going to still share the results, see all of the things that has happened over the years and all of that. And we will still get to a point. I'm not afraid of changing narratives. I'm not afraid of being at the place where I'm attacked for something that we should change. That is, the new order, and because of where it is that we are. So if you do not teach your children to learn to build habits, in their process, your child can't learn. They just pass exams, come out, get one job where they are, work, go every day, and that's it. Their life ends in mediocrity. Like very many of us, where we have the mediocre life, and then we come out and say things like, I turned out okay. When did okay become okay? Okay is now okay. So that's where we are okay. So many of us are okay. And that's what we're raised to be. Okay. Nothing extra. Nothing extra. So if we do not sit back now and begin to think, how do we help our children learn differently? Our children are going to become like the dinosaurs because the world has gone like, too far from what it is that we know. This is so important. This is so important. All right. And the next one, let me quickly share, is adversity, agility, adaptability, ability to pick up new skills. Adversity. Ha ha ha. We're preaching that message. I don't want my children to suffer. I suffer too much. My children will need to have access, right? Have access to all of this. And yet, the same parent who is saying, I don't want my children to suffer, is the same parent who's wielding the cane. The cane. And you're beating the cane, you're hitting the child. The child has zero discipline. But what will build discipline in the child? You call it suffering. And then you bring out the cane. I don't know how that works. Think about it critically. So the child is supposed to be able to build resilience, to be able to do stuff, to be able to. So people come to me and say, my children cannot really do so much. They are reading. They need to read so that they can pass exams. I'm like, hey, God, what am I even hearing? Hey. Is passing exams the ticket to living a fulfilling life? That's what we've made it. So everything about, in that school, even our choices of school, see how we choose schools. That school, they make good WAEC results. They make good WAEC results. In that school, everybody makes A's. Is that how to choose a school for your child? Better come to back to school masterclass. Today is the final day to register. I think it starts on Thursday. All right, final day to register. You want to be there, all right, to actually learn. Another thing that you need to teach your children are values. Values. This is not the same passing exam is now their internal organs are big. Yes, so continue. Like they say in the inner circle, continue. Continue. You need to get your children to understand values. Values over rules. See all these rules, my God. I said before that the goal of parenting is not obedience. I came over under attack. You're saying the Bible said your children will need to obey. And then people said all kinds of things. I love those things because it's good for me to actually be able to prove to you years later that you were wrong. It's okay, but what can you say? Are you saying that children should not obey? Blah, 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 blah. I don't teach obey, blindness, obedience. Because obedience, it means that you're telling your children that you are infallible. So if I make a mistake, I'm expecting that my children follow me in that mistake. No, I don't teach my children to obey blindly. And that's why in the inner circle, we teach honor over obedience. We don't teach obedience. You hear some of the things you hear in the inner circle, you're like, yes, honor over obedience. And that changes the tides. I'm sharing about this in Discipline is Not an Emergency. And that changes the tides. The day I said it, they say, your children are going to be unruly. In fact, when I see those your children, I'm sure they'll be very unruly. Somebody wrote on social media. You don't find unruly children being, at a certain, place. My son is a prefect in junior class. It's not unruly. But will he question you? Yes. Does he understand values? Yes. Overrules. This is very key. And values, not vacation, like DDK said at the TIP conference. Values, not vacation. Don't replace values with vacation, or replace spirituality with schools, or replace diligence with dilly-dallying. The next one is learnability, self development. If your children don't learn learnability now, they are actually going to get stuck in the future. Because in the future, it's going to be about people who develop themselves as they go. So right now, I was over last week, yes, last week I wasn't here at Tuesday, like one of my staff, shared details. I was at an event in Lagos State, right, for the Lagos State government and the Boy Child Initiative, where I was a keynote speaker. I listened to another keynote speaker speak about, IT and hiring people. And he said something. He said, IT is an enhancement, it's not a core. Unfortunately, what parents are doing, like, it's a core. We have put in a core into, we've made IT the core. Oh, you talk to a parent, say, no, my children are always on screen because they are learning how to code. It makes me laugh. Because when you think about the people who invented, go and read about them, the Steve Jobs, the Mark Zuckerberg, the all of the people that they learned in their parents' garage. In fact, it's reputed that most of them stopped to go to the school because it's like a box. So they stopped to go to school and they started to invent, build stuff in garage. Now, IT is an enhancer of the skill. That's not the skill. So technology is enhancing the skill that I have. It's not, that's what it's doing. It's an enhancer of that skill. And you must be able to understand that. And then, he was also sharing about, hiring people. And he said, the problem is not that we do not have enough people who have gone to school. We have. But we do not have people who are employable. We have an unemployable generation. I'm in recruitment system, so I can tell you for free that we have an unemployable generation. We recruited a staff few months ago. It took us to go through 500 plus CVs to be able to actually get there. Interesting. We did interviews first, ability, the skills, because we are not, our children didn't, so we didn't learn learnability, self-development. Now, some of us still see self-development as waste of money. So, somebody says, you say, this thing that you are paying for, why are you paying for it? We still see that it's waste of money to self-develop ourselves because we were not taught learnability. If you teach your children learnability, you find out that they are constantly, all right, staying at the place where they need to be, and they are relevant per time. If you do not understand how much, all right, the times have changed, your children will come out, become part of the unemployable generation that we have. Many graduates are unemployable. It's not, I'm not quoting. So all those, no, my children we hired lesson teacher, they came out of some that he's not a graduate. According to my son. And then graduates, you start the goal. That's not the goal. That's not the goal. I'm talking about raising impact makers. And that's why when you get into the inner circle, one of the very first things we do is we teach you how to raise kings. That's our mantra. That's our mantra. It means that you need to do things differently. And then the next one is, there's actually a lot. Curiosity and imagination, assessing and accessibility and analyzing information, initiative and entrepreneurship is actually a whole lot. But we're going to teach you at the upcoming Back to School Masterclass about how to actually get your children to the point where you're not just raising people who are passing their exams and being tops of the class. You're raising thinkers. You're raising thinkers. So if you want, argue all you want, how you want to bring 1 million teachers so that they can teach your child, they will be tops, and then you come online and say all these things. They say we should not bring, like, I brought, my children is doing well. They will do well. according to your terms of doing well, and according to what you understand where the world is. The world has gone past that. The world has so gone past that. And when they are done passing exams, then what? I was reading about the guy that built Money Point and even Paystack, the same, similar story. And you find out that these are people who have been skilled, equipped. They have gone to school, all right? Who have gone to school. They have, but they've been equipped with the skill to actually able to innovate. What can your children see now that they can innovate on? When it's not just, oh, my child is into coding, oh, my child is, no, 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 that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the skills you're building in your child now that is going to progress to that child becoming a disruptor. The guy that built Paystack just disrupted, just saw something that wasn't working and disrupted it. That's what thinking is about. That's what learning is about. That's what raising children who thrive is about. That's what raising children who can survive the world that is coming is about. Stop scaffolding your children for life. You make them dependent for life and you kill the ability to think. Any child you scaffold for life, you bail that child out for life. And the moment you are a bailer, your child cannot produce result. It does not matter how it is. So when you are heaping lesson teacher SS1 to SS3 and all of that, you are scaffolding your child into life. Nobody survives that way. Nobody. You need to begin to raise independent thinkers, independent learners from age 0. So if you have a child who is a toddler, it's your best time to join the inner circle because that's when you begin to raise a child who can actually learn independently. By the time the child is 10, you're not thinking about how to hire a lesson teacher, how to make the child perform magic. That's not what we're talking about. The child is equipped to become. And these are some of the things that you will need to actually be able to, right? Able to get things all together. The question I ask all the time, I told the parents in the inner circle at our last Thursday webinar, I said, many times you want to be there at the milestones of your children, but what if you can't? What if you're not? What if life happens and you're not there? What if circumstances change and you're not there? What if you're dead? How do you prepare the road for a child instead of preparing your child for the road? Are you the owner of the road? You're not even the owner of your life. So how do you think you'll be able to achieve this? And that's why getting into a space where you learn to know what it is you need to do with your children, changes the ties for you. For our back to school masterclass is an exclusive inner circle masterclass that we open up for parents who are outside of the academy. Number one, for you to come and see what it is that happens in the inner circle and the learnings and learn a lot. Number two, for you to understand what kind of school should your child be per time. Many times parents actually think that school is about Mame Meka's son went to that school and he came out with all A's. So let me transfer that child to that school. It's a different conversation. A school is different for each child. That a school is expensive doesn't even make it good. That's it. Doesn't even make it good. So you need to ask yourself critical questions. You need to begin to look at life more critical than you are looking at it now. You need to begin to learn because that's the core of what we're talking about. So at the Back to School Masterclass, you get access to Back to School Masterclass 1, access to Back to School Masterclass 2. There have been a lot of testimonials, and you also get the bundle. The bundle, there are a lot of printables, 11 planners, printables that you have from the bundle that you can use for the new school year, preparing for boarding school, planner meal, how you can teach your child a lot. For 5,000 naira, it's like we're actually dashing you. We're not, the 5,000 naira is just for you to know that you paid for something. Because if you're going to get each of those bundles, you're going to get them nothing less than 22,000 naira for all of them. And then the classes, you're going to pay nothing less than 20,000 for each of the classes. So you're just getting it at no cost, really. So if you want to, equip your child, if you want to equip yourself on this journey, come in and learn. That's the best gift you can give to your child. You learning is the best gift you can give to your child. The best. There's no other gift your child needs. And that's where we come to the end of this conversation today. All right. And if you have not booked to join the inner circle, you're your own. The inner circle is a game changer. This morning we started the my intentional parenting journey running through. We started with the magistrate of the law in Lagos. She came today to share her intentional parenting journey. You can find that video just before this video on our YouTube channel, and you'll be able to savor everything that she has shared. It's her journey. I didn't share it. She decided to share. She has a teenager, and she also has children, all right, who are toddlers. So if you're still doubting, oh, I have teenagers, is it too late? No, it's not too late. You can start now. If you're still doubting, oh, I have toddlers, oh, is it too early? Please start already. Please start already. If you are in doubt, I don't know what these things are going to say. Will they really give me value? Go on our TIP annual conference and watch it for yourself. You will see the value yourself. And if you think that this class has been valuable, wait for it. You haven't seen value yet. Get into the master class so that you can go through this master class and have access to what it is that it looks like, so that you're not just doing it at do I know, do I not know. Use it to try. Use your 5,000 naira and try and see what you get even before the classes start. Thank you so much for joining me today. Mrs. Nudge said the end how. Mrs. Nudge, we'll go and see the inner cycle on Thursday. And that's why you need to be Miss Nudge is class captain. All right. All right. So we would, get in there and we're able to. So you want to hear the voice every day, you'll be able to. Thank you again for joining me today. And somebody said I'm doing level one because I have a new baby soon. Oh wow. Congratulations to you. Celestina, Dr. Celestina, I see you, ma'am. Oluwakemi, Madam Elizabeth Achike, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for joining me on our Tuesday class. And if you're not a Yada, I see you in the next 2 p.m. Tuesday next week. If you are a Yada, I see you on Thursday as usual. All right, where we're going to be having our back to school masterclass. And if you are already a parent, all right, who is in the back to school masterclass, get ready for it. Be prepared. We will shock you, as always. Thank you so much, and do have an amazing afternoon. Remember to share this link with your family and your friends, and we will be here to help you. If you need anything, if you want to book a one-on-one session with us, please reach out to the team and they will help you to book. If you want any of our books, you can please reach out to us. Walking Your Child Through Puberty, Resolving Your Sibling Rivalry, Connect to Correct. All of them are available on Amazon. From Yelling to Calm, Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro, Volume 1 and Volume 2. I don't know why I don't have Volume 2 here, team. I don't know why I don't have Volume 2 here. The Discipline That Works, How to Love Your Child More, Raising Independent Thinking Child, and you would, all right, also get, you can also get this on Amazon. All our books are available on Amazon. And then Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro, this is Volume 2. And then the 3 other books that are hitting you very soon from me. I have a mandate to use books to resolve parenting issues, and that's what I'm going to do. All right. So we're going to have 3 of them hit the world in few days. All right, in less than 90 days, and you're going to be glad. And one of them is Discipline is Not an Emergency. I don't think I've written anything like that before. I am awed myself at that book as it's going. All right. Thank you so much. How do you get hard copy of your books? You can get hard copy in your location. If you are outside of Nigeria, you can get it on Amazon. If you're in Ghana, there is a distributor in Ghana. You can buy from them. If you are in Nigeria, we have distributors across the nations or a town near you. You can always get from them. All right. And begin to read. I hope that this has been, somebody said, where do I start from? Kenny, start from the books. Already start for the back to school masterclass. It's going to really help you to find direction and to learn a few things, and then you can begin to throttle from there. All right. If you are in Asaba, we have a pickup in Asaba. We have a distributor in Asaba. All you need to do is send a chat to this number, and you get the list of our distributors, and you will get our books, all right, so that you can get hard copy. Okay, thank you so much, everybody, and do have an amazing day. Don't forget to share this with your family and your friends, because you might be helping somebody without even knowing it. Thank you and have an amazing day.